Yeah, Digby today on Dubai One TV. Hope you're enjoying the show this evening. Thank you so much indeed for tuning in. We're weekdays every evening from 8 p.m. So great to have you with us for our community special here today, looking at some of the communities that have been set up here in the city of Dubai to cater for a variety of different interests. And we move now to one of the most important, the arts. Why? Because our next guest is a South African theatre director, designer, writer, educator and performing arts practitioner. Please welcome the founder and the creative director of the Collab Company, Lauren Noble. Lauren, really appreciate your time. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and I love the name of the company as well, because so much of what we're talking about is collaboration,
Indeed.
collaboration. And you sort of work at that intersection of the arts. It's that umbrella term, isn't it? But why are, I should say, the arts so important when it comes to community building?
Yeah, I think that's such a wonderful question, and I'm very thankful to actually have the opportunity to speak about the arts as kind of a connected tissue. Because if you think about the arts, it encompasses everything: music, drama, dance, visual arts, graphic design, AI even now is part of that conversation. There's so many things about the arts that kind of stand the test of time. And I think for me, my kind of wheelhouse is theatre. So I'm a full-blown theatre nerd. I love it to the core of myself, and I think it's because it brings people together. At its core, it really does introduce people to new experiences, new ways of thinking. For me, it's really about multiple spaces that have the opportunity to bring a community together. So if you take a production, for example, something that we do quite a lot here in Collab Company. So we've produced many different productions of different genres and different audiences, but the audience themselves comprise of different people from around the world. So already you're looking out and you're seeing an international space. But then on top of that, it's the process behind the scenes. And I think for me as a director, that's actually my bread and butter. It's really about the people that come together in a community, which is all voluntary, where we seek to make stories come to life. And I think that process is just such a wonderful way of really getting to grips with one another. And I think what Nikki was saying earlier about how disconnected we are, I think it's so special to have an artistic form as theatre to bring different people together from around the world in service of a single story. And yet how layered that is, because everybody brings their own story into the space. And I think that's really special. So for me, I love it because it just is communal in every sense of the word, and it's just enveloped in that. So it's just beautiful. I love it. Yeah.
Love that. Can you tell us more about the performing arts scene and what gap you saw in the market to begin it?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So Collab Company started actually during COVID. At the back of my mind, I had always had this idea because I was in education. So I was brought over from South Africa into Dubai to actually start up a drama department. And it was absolutely amazing. I'm definitely an educator in my core. I love it. It really gives me an opportunity to see young people succeed. And I think that what happened is during COVID, obviously the whole nature of education shifted. And especially in the UAE, whilst we were safe, we were fully disconnected. And it was an opportunity one day where I remember closing the laptop screen and looking over at my husband, who I've known literally forever. And we've been literally through all phases of life together. And one of the things I looked at him and said was, I don't know if this is going to be me in 10 years. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I'm giving of my creativity in this space again and again to others, but I'm actually not nurturing it for myself. And there was a moment where it just clicked in the back of my mind, and I just thought, wouldn't it be so wonderful if I was at the helm of something where my own artistry was kind of pushed into the space, and in so doing I could take all the lessons that I'd learned in being an educator and including others in that journey. And that was how Collab kind of came about. And it's been the most amazing journey of 5 years, where we have literally self-produced so much in the region. We've even self-produced a tour that was the Woza Habibi Tour, which happened last year. It was absolutely amazing. So it's the use of the term Woza, which is from South Africa, it's Zulu, and in Isi Zulu it literally means a come, and then obviously Habibi. And it was just so fantastic to have South Africans and then the group that had created a story here in Dubai working all the way in my hometown of Durban in South Africa. And for me that was really special because it meant that the community grew internationally and globally. And so that cross-continental collaboration started to become a very visceral element of the company. And so that's really how it began. It was just, how do we bring people into the same space with a unique vision and just an awareness that each person brings their own experiences in, and that's not a negative. So many times we're taught this is what a performer is. and it's a certain body type, sometimes a certain nationality, which is super problematic in my industry, but really kind of looking at it like you bring you to the table. And I love that because everyone is so different.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that because you focus a lot on the cross-cultural exchange. What does it really look like in practice in a city like Dubai that is super diverse?
Yeah, it's so diverse and it's so electrifying in that diversity. I think for me, it really is about ensuring that we meet people where they're at. So it is no use for me to say, I want to produce this most amazing show and I only have this certain number of people and I can only do it with that group. Because at the end of the day, we've got a variety of different individuals from different walks of life. Just because someone is not a professional performer, for example, doesn't mean that they can't actually share the stage with a professional. And I think that's where my company is different. This idea of bringing different types of people together from different walks of life is really significant because each of us brings something new to the table, but we learn from each other. And so for me, it's that cross-cultural connection that really allows a piece of theatre to breathe. And I think speaking to the gap earlier, the gap for me was really, I want to see art that is made in situ. I want to see art that whilst we have the most amazing things around the world that we can bring into Dubai, and I mean Dubai Opera, the Etihad, we're seeing the most amazing shows. And then of course I'm working with companies like West End Worldwide who have just brought the Shakespeare Abridged into the space. Those are all amazing, but I also want to see theatre that is made for the people by the people. And I think that's a South African thing because for me, we are a very vocal nation and we've been taught that the arts is really central. I mean, it was part of how we came together as a nation to really heal and still continue healing what had happened in our history. And I think that just sits in my core. And so for me, it's really about how do we engage all of these different facets and put it together. And I think theatre is the thing that really does that beautifully. So, yeah.
Lauren, as a storyteller myself, I believe wholeheartedly anyone can speak the voice of the character regardless, because only the writers know what the character looks like. So as someone who is an advocate for cross-cultural and different nationalities being together and forming a story, how do you ensure that it showcases the voices and reflects the voices of the community in all the parts?
Yeah, I think that's such a lovely question. Thank you. The piece that we're working on right now is so special to me. It's called Checkmate the Musical, and the idea was taking the concept of the board game that happens in Alice in Wonderland. So there's a chess game that happens through the looking glass.
Oh, fun.
And we took this idea of taking all of the various characters, but actually placing them into the chess pieces themselves. So the storyline is really about a king who is oppressing his people. And he is, you know, he's followed the lineage of king after king after king. And all of the other characters on the stage are women. And so there's this rising up of women that occurs through the actual rules and regulations of chess, but through an idea of Alice in Wonderland. And one of the things that we've done is an interactive experience where part of what we have done is we've taken snippets of Alice in Wonderland and I've chatted to my cast and said to them, right guys, let's see if we can maybe take that idea of Alice in Wonderland, which is a very well-known story, but actually turn it into something where you get to use your mother tongue. And so we've got moments where the audience is going to experience like a little snippet of Alice in Wonderland, but in Arabic. And even the different dialects of Arabic. So that's been a conversation. Okay, you know, who are we working with here? And we've got the Egyptian dialect that is on the stage. And like, okay, what else can we do? We've even got Afrikaans that is happening from South Africa. So it really is about how do I work with the cast that's present with me, and how do I meet them at their level and say to them that I value you for who you are and what you bring to the table. And I think if you have that, the experimental nature of theatre is just really easy, because then you've kind of got everybody jumping in on board in the same direction, which of course is my job then as director to keep that direction really, really clear. And I think that for me, that's actually the most gratifying thing, because I'm learning so much about the cultures that exist in my everyday life that I would never have had the opportunity to.
That is definitely so beautiful, Lauren. I can't wait to see that come to life, and I definitely have to also check out the Collab Company very, very soon.